All right. Good evening once again. Welcome to Digitech Zeal. This is cyber security training live session. So tonight we we are looking at an aspect of cyber security, which is very, very important to us before we commence the ethical hacking. So because of time, I will have asked us to recap or to say one or two things about what we covered in our last class, but I will encourage us to continue to visit our previous classes before coming into a fresh one. Particularly those of us that are missing classes, please, I want to appeal that anytime you miss any of the session and the video is made available to you, endeavor to watch the video, make your notes, and make sure you implement all the practicals within it. Eventually, assignment is given, make sure you also do it, if possible, before the next session. Right? That is the best way we can guarantee success as far technology learning is concerned. So you don't jump classes, because each of those classes, they are like, a continuation of each other. All right. So for those of you that will probably come into this session, some of those things we have discussed in the previous lessons are very important, because your fundamental understanding of those things we have talked about will help you to understand this particular topic better. I hope that is clear, Mr. Joshua. I know you missed the last class, so I'm not sure if you have gone through that video. Please, can I get a response from you?
Yeah, I watched the video.
Okay,
Part of it, but my network in this period, I don't know what's wrong.
okay. So please, every other person, let us do the same. Okay, so just to recap a little bit before we dive into tonight's assignment. When we started this training, I told us that the cyber security package that we offer on this platform is actually divided into two arms or branches. The first part of cyber security on this platform is where we familiarize you with the security features within our Microsoft Windows, which forms part of the technical skills that we as cybersecurity practitioners should have. All right. So it's not about just diving into penetration testing. It's not about diving into ethical hacking. You need to have some technical knowledge on how your Windows security features can be used or programmed to secure the operating system, which almost every computer devices uses to manage itself, even while on a network or internet. And that is why it is very important that we understand those security features that we have spent reasonable time on. Now, what we are introducing tonight, it's like a prerequisite, all right, before you enter what? Ethical hacking. So once we are done with, there are several prerequisites that we need to understand before we dive into ethical hacking properly. And the reasons are very, very what? Important to us. All right. Now, we are focusing on what we call networking fundamentals. Networking fundamentals. And that somebody will ask, which means that before you enroll in cybersecurity training class, it is expected that you must have graduated from networking fundamentals. At least you should have knowledge of networking so that most of the security you are going to ensure, most of the devices you are going to ensure their security, these are devices that are indirectly or directly connected to the world, to networks. So it is very important that we understand how computer communicates within a network, also understand how our systems are structured within a network. That will give us a better understanding on how to protect devices that are connected to networks. I hope you are with me, sir. Mr. Joshua, I hope you are still here.
I'm with you.
Okay, so I'm really trying to bring out the reason why this is very important. In fact, in the field of cybersecurity, we do see that this is one of the most important foundation that we must have before going into cyber security proper. And that is the reason why I'm introducing this tonight to us. If the time permits us, we might need to discuss everything that we need. Remember the emphasis, fundamental, which means that what? We need to have knowledge of basic networking. At least we should understand certain terms. You cannot successfully practice ethical hacking or penetration testing without basic knowledge of networking. All right? So there are other prerequisites. When we get there, I will let us know. But for today, I am focusing on networking fundamentals. So the first thing is, what is a network? So let's understand what a network is all about. But because I would like you to watch the video later and make your notes, then you can just listen. But if you are fast enough to take notes of important key points, fine. All right, so that we can cover almost everything. I will not want to engage in typing in order not to slow us down, because we need to conclude this aspect as soon as possible so that we can dive into the ethical hacking, which is going to form the last part of the training, which is one of the longest parts of this training. We spend almost 3 months or 2 to 3 months just on the ethical hacking aspect. All right, so what is a network? So a network is a collection of 2 or more computers. Basically, network is the collection of 2 or more computers or devices. It must not necessarily be only computer. It also encompasses other devices connected together to share data, files, applications, internet, access, and other resources. That's the simple definition of network. So now let me just picture it, why it is important for you to understand this networking we're talking about. Look at that definition again. Let me just recap. It says that the collection of 2 or more computers or devices connected together to share data. What do you think the black hat hackers, the set of human beings, the set of individuals that choose to use their cybersecurity skills to defraud others. What do you think they are hunting for? Information people store in their various computers. So they also understand that information travel from one node to another via what? Network. So the network is just like a transportation medium that transports information from one point to another across the internet, all the devices that are within the internet. So if somebody is interested in breaking into system to hijack their file, that person will understand how that file flows from one point to another. And that is why we that have been trained to counter what we train on this platform is defensive security, not offensive security. The difference between defensive security and offensive security is that the mindset, the offensive ethical hacker, the offensive hacker focuses on how to steal people's file for personal gain while causing or inflicting pains on them. While defensive hacking or security is nothing but preventing those offensive hackers. I hope you are with me, Mr. Joshua. I hope you understand it. So we need to know that.
Okay.
Good. The reason why you will have just imagined there is no way a government of a nation will approve a skill that could increase criminality. So we need to understand it. There is no government that will do that. So if we are learning cybersecurity, we are learning it just for defensive purpose. In other words, company or organization are expected to hire us to help them defend their system from intruders, to help them harden their system from external penetration. So everything we are going to train you in this platform is going to be teaching towards how you can use your skill to protect system, to protect data from being attacked. Now, I just have to highlight that so that you know why you still need to understand how they operate, even though you are not going for offensive. A practical example I will give here, the force in our nation, let's say the police or the soldier, the training they give to them or they give to them is such that they expose the way the criminal elements operate in the society, the way they operate at night, the way they operate in the morning, the way they operate in the afternoon. And then what they are trying to achieve here is for them not to be outsmarted by the criminal. So what the training will constitute is a way of revealing their tactics and a way of telling them how they can stop them. That is exactly what we are doing here. It's just that we are not that far different from them. The only difference between us and those physical forcemen is that we protect the internet, the virtual space, while they protect the physical world space. But somehow our reasoning look alike. I hope you are with me, Mr. Joseph, Joshua rather. I hope you understand that. So we are learning this for defensive. Now, which means that if they understand that information flows, that they can go and position certain malicious or malware to hijack them in the process of transit, then you should also be aware how information also flow so that you can protect them, so that you can cipher such information, such that they will not be able, even if peradventure they capture it, they will not be able to what? To read the real contents. And that is what we call cryptography. Cryptography is a kind of data encryption that makes a readable file unreadable, or a plain file to become what? Ciphered. That is what? Encoded in a way that the real information cannot be seen. So even if somebody steals it, the person cannot see. By the time he or she opens it, he or she will just see collection of alphabet, numbers, some exclamation mark. That is why when you see some persons, when they open some file, they will say, the file has converted to virus. No, it was because this file was ciphered. The file was encrypted. And until you get a file or a program that can decrypt it, you will end up seeing it as if is a virus. All right. So we are talking about networking fundamental. I said networking is the process, the collection of systems and other devices that allows us to share data, file, application, internet access, and other resources. So these are actually the things you protect as a cyber security expert. So when a company hire you tomorrow, they expect that you secure their data from what? Intruders. They expect that you make sure that their network is secure such that nobody can break into it and compromise the system. All these are very important. They expect that you protect the internet access if it is Wi-Fi so that people don't what? Take advantage of it. And that is why the ethical hacking session include Wi-Fi penetration testing, web application penetration testing, because these are the things that the black hat hacker takes advantage of. All right. So the reason why we are expected to go through that same process that they go through is such that we know the loophole, we know the weakness, what can expose us to the attacks, so that when we are employed, we inform the organization to put measures in place to stop them. Let's look at example of network. We have school, laboratory, office network, home, Wi-Fi. All these are what? Network. And all these that I mentioned, they are usually established to ensure that what? Information are shared, data are shared, and what? Other resources are equally what? Shared. Are you with me? So if you come across this video, please like it and share the video. And like I told the ones that I taught yesterday, please, as you watch our video, enable us to share them, or also what? Help us to like, and if possible, you comment. All right, so that is example of what? Networking. Now let's look at some of the advantages of network. I have already mentioned some of them. Number one, networking or network allows us to share resources. Network allows us to share file. Network allows us to share internet. I can share my hotspot with you. That is network. Network allows us to have a centralized management. All right. For example, Central Bank of Nigeria, INEC, they have a central server such that all the units transfer their information to that server. So from the center, all the branches can be what? Managed. That is possible because of networking. All right. Now, networking also enhances communication. Look at the telecommunication system we have today, MTN Glo. If it is not networking or network, that wouldn't have been possible. Networking allows us to back up our file. Somebody can back up information in the cloud. That is possible because of networking. So let's quickly look at some of the types of networks. Types of networks. Number one, we have the LAN, which is what? Local area network. Local area network. So once you understand all these different structure of network, then we can put measures in place so that the outsider attackers do not have access to any of them. So how do we define a LAN network? A network covering a small geographical area is referred to as the LAN network. So the question is, does these bad guys hack such network? Yes, that is if they understand. But it is one network that usually suffer most, which is the largest network, which is the internet. Most times they don't bother because it is the internet that gives them quicker access, unlike the LAN. So, but this LAN is like a very small network and is always local, is always local. This is the kind of network you see when you get to cyber cafe, some offices within a building. All right. Now, example of this, we have school network, we have offices network, we have cyber cafe, like I've mentioned before. Let's look at some of the characteristics of the LAN network. What makes it the way it is? Number one, it's very fast. Why is it fast? The distance of data transmission is not far because, like we established, it's a small network within a local area. So the data is not suffering any long distance transmission, and that is why it's usually fast. And that is why it's recommended.
The voice became silent just now.
Sorry, I should come again with the voice is not that clear. I should come again with it. Yes.
This one, the LAN side there.
So I said the local area network, a network covering a small geographical area. I hope you got it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So example of it, I mentioned schools. Those networks you see within school environments, they can be classified under what? Local area. Network you see in offices, network you see in cyber cafe. Now let's discuss some of their characteristics. How do we identify them based on their attributes? One, they are very fast, like I was explaining, they are very fast. Two, low costs. It doesn't cost much money to establish such a network. All you need is RJ45 cable, then your system. Then if you want to extend it beyond one office within the building to another, then you get what? A switch. Just to what? To broadcast it. Very simple to establish. All right. Now, we have is low cost, like I said, and it is also what? Private. All local area networks are private. They are not public network. So we need to understand it. That is the first type of computer what? Network, LAN. Let's discuss the next one, the WAN. Let's discuss the next one, the WAN. So the WAN network, let me see if I can highlight the WAN network. Remember, we are discussing what? Types of network, computer network. We're discussing types of computer networks. So the first type, I say what? LAN, which means what? Local area network. Then number two, which is WAN. So WAN is wide area network. Wide area network. So how do we define this? How do we define the WAN? a network connecting computer across cities or country. A network connecting computer across city or country. Such a network is referred to as what? WAN, wide area. So you can see, for example, in Lagos, we have one. We have those ones are, yes, look at it, connecting city and country. There's a network that is connecting Nigeria and what? UK. And that is the reason why somebody can be in Nigeria here and be able to what? To message someone in UK, just because their computer will be running or their computer are on what? Wide area network. So example of this is, a typical example of this is the internet. The internet. That is the typical example of what? The wide network. Typical example of it is the internet. Now, what are some of the characteristics of it? Number one, it covers what? It covers large area. It cover large areas. That is number what? That is one of the first characteristics of this. Now, comparing this with the LAN, you can see that the LAN can only cover what? Small area, but for the wide, it can cover wide or large area. Then the second characteristics of one network is that the uses what? Lease line or satellites. So this is how they work, satellites. So they uses what? Satellites to transmit what? Information. That is why, so which means that there are orbits established in the space that allow this to spread wider. They're more expensive. These ones are also what? Very expensive to set up. Unlike the local one that somebody can just get, RJ45 cable, get a switch, get a laptop, and then you are able to set up the local. This one, you have to what? Spend a lot of money. All right? So I believe you are following, sir. I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's quickly look at the third one. Let's look at the third one. The third one is going to be the PAN. The third one is the PAN. Sorry. Let's take MAN first. So MAN, the full meaning of it is metropolitan area network. Metropolitan what? Area network. So please help me to comment in the group that the class is ongoing so that some of them can join. So we have the metropolitan area network. So this particular one connects several LAN. So you can see that you can have different network in different local areas, like the city we are in, let's say Asaba or Lagos. If they are not able to network all of them in one server, what they would do is to have the network broken into what? Different location or different locality within the states or within the city. Now, once that happens, then all those local network will now be linked once to what? To the probably what? The central server. So which mean that that will not take us to subnets, which means that some other computer are under a subnetwork. That is where we have the idea of subnet. So the subnet is an idea that was introduced where the area you want to cover is too much, then you break it into a group of what? Network. So you have the main computer linking to the headquarters, and then other ones what? Connected to what? To it. So metropolitan area network connects several LAN within a city. The example of it is a university connecting all campuses. That is an example of what? Metropolitan network. A university connecting all computers or campuses rather. So which means that they have a central within the university that connects the activities of what? All the campuses. I hope that is clear, sir. So that we can go to the fourth one. I hope that is clear. Okay. So the fourth one is the PAN, which means personal, area network. Personal area network. The first one is LAN, local area network, a very small area coverage. The second one was a wide, that is one, wide area network that cover what? Large area. And then the third one was MAN, metropolitan area network, the one that connects network within city. And then we have the PAN, personal area network. So the personal area network is a small network around one person. For example, your Wi-Fi is your personal network. It connects only you. And there is a maximum who you can share with. All right, so example of PAN network is Bluetooth. All these are very small personal network. Sometimes we refer to them as pocket network. Then we have smartwatch. We have mobile hotspots. All these falls under PAN, personal network. Then that brings us to the end of the key network types that we want to discuss. Remember that we are looking at the fundamental of computer networking. We are trying to understand how computer communicate and how they are structured within the internet space that we are responsible for its protection. All right, so let's quickly talk about network topology, what we call network topology. Network topology. Let's say network topologies. So what do we mean by network topology? Topology is talking about the design, the structure of a network, the shape of a network. That is the simple meaning of what? Topology. All right. So the shape of a network can give us the what? The topology. So under the topology of a network, we have what we call the box. So if we are saying that the shape of a network describes its topology, when we say what? Bus topology, we are simply talking about what? All computer connected to one cable. All computer connected to one cable. That is what? Bus. So which means that if we have, let's say we have something like this. This is the network backbone, right? So if we have a computer connected here, this is like computer A. In as much all of them are coming directly from that backbone cable. This is what we refer to as what? Box topology. I hope you are with me, sir. So we need to understand good. So that is a simple meaning of what? Box topology. Right? So, like I was saying, all computers connect to one cable. So let's quickly discuss some of the advantages. Some of the advantages of bus topology. Some of the advantages of bus topology. Number one, it's very cheap to set up. Very cheap. So that's why you see most of our cafe, they set up this one. Number two, easy installation, very easy to install. So if you have done networking installation before, you see that most of this topology, you set them up due to the shape of the office. So there are some places you will be asked to come and settle. That is for those that are going to learn networking to become network administrator, right? So not all cybersecurity professional that only need to have basic knowledge of it. And that is why it's as if we are not going to be doing, how to lay cable, how to configure straight through cable, cross section. We are not going to do all those ones, router configuration, switch, all these things. We are not going to do all those ones. Those are for persons that want to probably learn networking for practical or implementation purpose. But for us as cybersecurity professional, is for us to have the theoretical knowledge of this, just to give us a picture of how systems are structured within a network. All right, so very easy to install, very easy to install. Then the disadvantage of this is that single cable failure affect the entire network. You can see, thank God, I still have the design here. So if, for example, there is loss of information transmission, information that's supposed to flow across the entire network backbone. This cable, we can also refer to it as network backbone. So if, for example, this particular node is now stopping it from moving forward, then all of this will be affected. All of this will be affected. And that is why a network administrator, whenever they want to set up their network, they consider these advantages and disadvantages after considering the shape of the space available. So they still put some of these advantages and disadvantages into consideration. Am I communicating? So now,
yes, sir.
Let's look at the next one. The next one is what we call the star topology. The star topology. So the star topology is every computer, or in star topology, what we have is that every computer connects to a central. So let me see if I can clear this and also use diagram. All this that I am explaining theoretically, maybe after the class, you can go to probably, you can go to Google and just type their name, click on image so that you can see their shapes, right? So when we say a star, just like we have maybe in that office, the office is in circular shape. So you see computer connected to it from different, form of giving you form of a star, form of star. So that is what we call, so all or every computer connect to a central switch, All right. So I think what we are going to do, so that we can really understand this, since we are training it theoretically, let us be seeing some of these things for proper understanding, since at the same time, as advantage of the online training like this, so we can check the pictures of some of these things. So we can, so let's say types of, so that we can be viewing them, types of network topology. So if we go to the image section, okay, so at least this will explain it for us. So this is just like the star. Let me see this particular image, if this one explain them properly. The images are not clear. Okay, I think they're coming clear. Okay, I think this one will explain it better. Let me use this. Okay, so you can see. So these are actually the major ones. So you can see the first one that I mentioned. This is the bus. Then this is the star. So like I defined it, I said the star topology is every computer connect to a central switch. So in this case, this particular cycle you are seeing here will represent the switch. I don't know if you have seen switch, sir. Can you unmute and respond? Have you seen switch?
No, I haven't seen this thing before.
Okay, if you have visited like cyber cafe, you know, there is, okay, since we are also on the internet, these are the advantages. Let's just also quickly check. If I say network switch, let's get the image. I'm very sure you must have seen it. Once I show you the picture now, you will confirm that you have seen it. Browse internet is. So, but while it's opening, if you have visited like all these school environments where there's network or cyber cafe, you will see one box where they connected all the networking cable. You will see the light blinking there. That is the switch. It's for extended. Good. Have you seen something like this? This is a switch. Are you with me? Mr. Joshua, can you see what I'm navigating at?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes.
Good. So this is a switch. The purpose of it is that if, for example, you have 10 offices, and inside one of those offices, there are 10 computers. So, and all the 10 computer cable cannot, from all the offices, cannot be run to the router. So what we do is that each room you drop one cable, each room you drop one cable, and then that one cable we go to the switch default port, and then which means that the internet will now be available here. The other computer in that room will now connected to this. So which means the internet comes from the router, from the from the server room down to the switch, then the switch will broadcast it, will spread it. I hope you understand the logic. You understand it, right? So it's for expanding network. All right, so that is what. Okay, Mr. Joshua, I hope you are still here. Hope you can still hear me. Okay, so I just wanted you to see that switch. So I said every computer connects to a central switch. So this is the central switch. Then these are like computer coming to this. Now, if you look at the advantage or the disadvantage of this, when we're discussing this one, we said that if anything happened to this cable, all the computer will be affected. So anybody setting up this network shape should put that into consideration. What about this? What about this? You can see that the advantage of this one is that if anything is happening to this computer, the network will still flow. So advantage of it, that's why I say what easy troubleshooting. When there is any network issue, when one computer is not browsing, the network administrator can easily rectify that one without affecting other computer world running. Am I communicating? Let me get a response because we need to know.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Now, so another advantage of this is that most common today, that is the one that is mostly used today. Then let's look at the disadvantage of this. Switch failure affect all devices. You see it now? So if there's any failure with this switch, since all of them are connected to it, if there's any failure here, all the computers are what? Affected. So, but if there is failure on one computer, it will not stop the flow of what? Information. Now, the next one is the ring topology, which is this very one. The ring topology, that devices form a cycle connection like this, a cycle connection. So if you look at the advantage of this, very reliable, and disadvantage of this is as what? Very expensive. So we need to have all this. So remember, as cybersecurity practitioner, we are only trying to understand network. I have already established the reason why we need to have this knowledge. Very important. It will enable us to understand ethical hacking better. All right. So the next one is let's talk about what the switch itself that I just showed you now. The switch connects devices within the same LAN. Connect devices within the same LAN, which means local area network. That is where we use switch. Switch cannot go beyond the same LAN network. All right, like server cafe, that is where they can use switch when they have a lot of systems and they don't want to run cable from the server system to each of them. The way of economizing resources, they will establish switch in some location, run only one network or internet transmission cable there, and then from there, other ones there will receive the what? The internet service. And that saves you from spending too much on cable. Now, the next one is we just have to, all these ones that, the ones that we just need to focus on is bus, ring, and star. That is why I have to leave other one. So you can study them on your own. So what I'm talking about now is the networking devices. Networking devices. I've talked about what switch is. So like when we define network, remember that we mentioned computer and other devices. So what forms a network is not just a computer. there are other what? Devices, and that is what we are describing now. So all these ones falls under network devices. So the first one we are discussing. So we must know this. We must know these devices as cybersecurity that want to go, cybersecurity expert that want to go into ethical hacking. So we must know switch. Then number two, we need to also understand what is called hubs. We need to know what is called hubs. So what do we mean by hubs? Hubs broadcasts. Hub broadcasts. Hub what? Broadcasts. Broadcasts data to all connected devices. That's the work of hub. So it is not a switch. It's different from switch. That is why I define switch as switch connect devices within the same line. But hub can what? Express can extend what? The network. All right. Now we have what we call AP. So AP means access point. That is the meaning of what? AP, access point. So what's the responsibility of this? It provides wireless connectivity. So this one provides wireless connectivity. It provides wireless connectivity. Mr. Joshua, I hope you are still here. Provide what? Wireless connectivity. Good. So we are talking about network devices. So we should also have this knowledge. Now, modem. So modem connects your network to your internet. Connects your network to internet service provider. Which we usually abbreviate to ISP. So the full meaning of ISP is what? Internet service provider. Internet service provider. All right. So now we have another one called fire. We discussed this actually in the Windows security features. Firewall. So firewall filters incoming. Remember, just in case you have forgotten, filters incoming and outgoing network traffic to block unauthorized access. Remember, we discussed this under Windows security aspects. That is just like the gatekeeper. Whatever that comes into your system, it accesses it. Whatever that goes out. So that is why when we're learning that Windows security, there was a place we were able to track all the history of the system, the firewall, protection, where it assembles all the script, malicious, suspicious acts that it must have prevented. All right, so we saw it from that log book there. Then the next thing we need to understand, all these are network related terms, may not be devices. The one that are major devices here, switch, hub, and then every other one, there are terms. Modem is a device. So all these ones, there are terms that we should be, used to, that are also used when you are talking about networking. So we have IP address. So every cybersecurity security professional should know what is called what IP addressing. IP addressing. So an IP address, which is also called Internet Protocol address, is either you call it addressing or Internet Protocol. Internet Protocol address. All right. So it's a unique numerical address assigned to every device on a network. So every device you see on a network, even as I'm using my phone, as you are using your laptop to connect to the internet, for us to be able to have this conversation, all our devices have an IP address. If not for the IP address, there is no way one computer can communicate with the other within the internet space. I hope you are still following, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we need to understand IP address. So an example, and again, as network or as cybersecurity professionals, we need to know the syntax of a local network or a private network or a public network. So example of how an IP address look like is when you have 192.168.1. Probably 10. But this two varies. One is talking about the host name, one is talking about what? The device itself. So you need to know, and an IP address this one is like global IP address or IP address of a system that are on a public network, usually start with 192.1. Once you see an IP address starting like this, you know that it is a device that is on a public network, right? Like our computers now, they are on a public network, not private network. All right. So when you see an IP address that start like this, 10, probably 0.0, maybe 0.5, right? So that is a local, a device that is on a private network. So we can also discuss we can talk about types of, let me reduce this. Let's look at types of IP. So we have the one we call IP. If you go to your system now, you see it IPv4. You have IPv4. This is the one that have that IP address that I said public, 192.168, and so on. Then when you see an IPv6, this is the one that have the syntax will be like 201 dots. You see code like let's say the DB8, you see something like this. So these are different, but the one we use is this very one. That's why most devices uses this one. It's first under IP address. So we now have, like I told you, this is just to complement the first parts that I just erased. Now we actually have, your device can have, every computer that is on a network, either it generates a public IP address or local IP address. So either it generates public IP address or local IP address. So I just showed you the syntax of them now. So which means that if, just like my computer is on the internet now, then the IP address that is going to generate is a public IP address. So if I want to check it, it's very simple. So once you are on a public network, just go to Google and type what? My IP address. So once I type my IP address, just what is going to bring me? My IP address. You will see your IP address right away. That is if you are on a public network. So you can see, so what is my IP address? So I can just click here. Let's see. So this is, once your system is on the internet, you can easily check your IP address by coming here and then let's see. Okay, so this is the IP address. Let's see. Yes, so this is the IP address based on the network you are using. For example, I am using this Airtel router. So all these have their own personal IP address configuration. If you are using your phone or any other devices, you'll be able to it will vary depending on if you are using MTN router or Wi-Fi, the IP address. So this is how you can quickly check your IP address. You can see that it's showing that what you are browsing from Nigeria. That is why when an attack happens, it's very easy to use IP address to trace the country where it happens. All right. That is why you see most of these boys, what they will do is to go and install a VPN. Once they install VPN, which is also another way of protecting your system, is a major tool even as cybersecurity practitioner. We deliberately install VPN into our system to make sure that when somebody try to get your system IP address in order to hack you, then they will be given what? Fake IP address. So which means that all the attack they are going to be launching will not get to you. So it's a way of shielding the real IP address. So it's either just that some persons will use it for negative purpose. So instead of using it for positive reasons, like I just explained now, they will just shield their IP address so that the government cannot trace them whenever they use that computer to perform any form of attack. All right, so we need to be aware of all these things because if you are not aware, then those guys will outsmart you. And companies that will engage you, they are actually hiring you because you know how to catch thieves. That is number one. In fact, companies are not even their priority of hiring you as a cybersecurity expert. It's not because you know how to catch the thieves. It's because you know how to stop the thieves, so that it will get to the point whereby you are in that office and attacks are happening. It's even very dangerous that you allow attack to happen. And that is why you are going through this training, showing you different ways, starting from Windows security, doors you need to lock so that somebody cannot enter without your consent. Things you need to put in place, hardening the systems so that they can't break into it. That is your responsibility. That is why you are called a defending cyber security practitioner. You defend system, just like football game. If the defender allowed the ball to enter the goal, the defender is no longer doing anything. So your work is to make sure that the ball does not pass certain limit, not to even get to the goal. And that is why I said your major responsibility as a cybersecurity expert is not to even catch the thieves, is to prevent them, make the system. Since you have gone through this training, it is assumed that you know how they operate, you know the routes they come from, so that you block those routes on time, so that you outsmart them. I hope I'm communicating, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're talking about IP address. Unfortunately, there's no way we can finish this topic. I just want to find a landing point. A landing point. We talk about IP address. Okay. Okay, so we have what we call MAC address. MAC address, what we call MAC address. So we need to also know that outside, you see, this is where many of them don't understand. You see that some persons will rush to go and block their IP address without rushing to block their MAC address. So the MAC address, the potential of the MAC address to treat somebody's system is very tiny. It's not that obvious like IP address. IP address can give them access straight away to you. So this MAC address is just like a very tiny channel that can be used to sense the identity of your system, even though you block your IP address. That is why when we get to the ethical hacking proper, two things that we are going to learn how to shut down before you even start the practice is the IP address and the MAC address. Because at that point, we will not be mimicking the ways of this guy. We are trying to teach you that this is how they operate so that you can be aware, not for negative purpose. All right? So everything we train on this platform is just for educational purpose. So what they normally do, that is why when you check the picture of unethical hacker, you see that they are always masked. They must block their face before they launch any attack because they are also conscious that people can detect them. So they remain anonymous before they even start. It's part of what we are going to go through once we have set up our ethical practicing lab. All right. So, but now we are looking at, you will still hear me using these words. And that is the reason why I am taking care of them now. So that when we get to that time, you see me using, I want to get the IP address of my target machine. I want to get the IP address of Kali Linus. Then you will not be asking me what is IP address, or I want to check the MAC address of a system. Then you will not be wondering what is MAC address. That is why he said we should understand this network fundamental, because all these are topics under networking. It is when you are learning networking that you get to know all this. All right? Just that we are just relating with them in cyber security. So a MAC address means what? Media access control. It means media access control. It means media access control. So an address is the unique, that's the MAC address, is the unique physical address assigned to a network interface card called NIC, network interface card. So let me go to the internet and show you how network interface card look like so that you can see it. So let's say network interface card. Let's see how it look like. Every device have it, even your phone. There is, if any device is not configured in with that particular interface, there is no way it can receive internet. There's no way it can receive communication. So this is it. Let me go to image that we can see very well. Good. These are networking interface card. Just that the ones that are in our laptops, they are very small chips, like very small chips, like IC, something like that, integrated on the board. But all these ones are for like desktop computers. You can see how very small they are. So if your computer does not have, you can see the back of your computer where you plug that RJ11 and RJ45 to. You can see it here. So which means that when you plug that cable from the back of your CPU, it's automatically connecting to the card that will allow it to communicate. So if I come here now just to get the definition, you can see that a network interface card, NIC, also known as network adapter or LAN adapter, is a hardware component that allows a device to connect to a network. That's why I say, if you don't have, even if your phone, for your phone to be able to connect to my WhatsApp network or any form of network, it means that phone has a network interface card. I hope you are getting it, sir. Do you understand what I just explained about the network interface card?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's just do a kind of comparison of these two, and then probably we will stop there. Let's just do a kind of comparison of them. What will I use now? Let's just do a comparison of this for clarity purpose. So let's say here we have MAC address. We have MAC, because we should be able to know their differences clearly. Then we have IP address. So one, MAC address, they are physically or they are physical address. While IP address, logical address. Then they are always at layer 2. While this one, they are at layer 3. All right, so we just have to use, these ones are permanent. Good, this is one major thing that differentiates them. Permanent, they don't change. Every device has its own, as they are producing it, they are attaching that MAC address to it. But for this one, can change. IP address can change. I would like you to tell me one thing that can make IP address to change. I've explained it in the class. Let me make you be a follower. Can you tell us one thing that can make an IP address to change? Mr. Joshua, can you tell us one? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You talk about I know you mentioned one thing about VPN. You mentioned that one also.
Okay, now,
Hello?
yeah, once your network is on a private network, that
Yes, it's a control private network. Yes.
to a private IP address, good. But for MAC, whether it's on a private network or public, the MAC address is what? Is fixed, right? So we need to understand this. So in the next class, please help me to write it down. I will ask you to tell me where we stop. That is, if you join. The next class, we are going to start from common network protocols. If I start it now, I will not be able to complete it. So let me leave that one to the next class. I've actually dished out enough that we need to go and digest before we continue. So we'll look at common network protocols. It's also a very important aspect. In fact, it's a must that we understand that aspect before we can go into ethical hacking. So once I'm done with this aspect, in the next class, we should be able to finish this networking fundamentals. All right. So once we are done with this networking fundamental, then we will now look at how to set up a virtual lab. There is a lab that we must set up, legally approved all over the world, for us to practice ethical hacking. So once we have set up the lab, then we will install all our virtual machines. Once we have done that, before you can even start talking about you want to perform penetration testing. So you must set up your lab before you can even start that entire process. I hope that is clear. Are you with me?
Very clear.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very clear.
Okay, so once we have set up the lab, we would look at another set of prerequisites, which is understanding born again shell, that is bash, and also Python basics, because these are the languages you will use to navigate around the Kali Linux, which is the main hacking machine. So those languages we need to know, just like the way we spend some time to understand Microsoft Windows, we spend time to understand the Kali as the operating system we use, that's Linux, as the operating system we use in ethical hacking. And then we also spend time to understand the scripting languages that are used to navigate around it, to access the resources, the tools that are within it. All right, so I'll see you in the next class. Thank you for joining. So just in case you come across this video, you want to reach out to us. This platform is called Digitech Zeal. What we do, we train on different tech programs across basic, intermediate, and advanced. We train on cybersecurity like this. It's a session of cybersecurity. We also train on data analytics, where we train you how you can manipulate data for actionable insight that can be used to make informed decisions. And then we also train on this platform Python programming. And then that is pure Python for application development. And then we train on web development, where we teach you how to build websites and website application using several languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and also how to publish it on the site. We also teach on engineering program like AutoCAD, both for 2D and 3D. We train on digital marketing. We expose you to all the digital marketing channels and the professional strategies on how to drive traffic. And then, of course, we also train on computer foundation. On Friday, I'll be starting the 12 class series on mastering the computer usage. So this is actually for beginners, those that are probably professionals that did not go through the foundation can join that session, because we have a lot of professionals out there that did not go through the foundation. They did not know what is called computer appreciation. So what they did is, because of trying to save costs and nobody counseled them, they just dive into a program like cybersecurity, which are like advanced and professional program. And then you see them struggling somehow because they miss the very foundation where they will have laid that structure then before building on top of it. So on Friday, I'm going to kickstart that session, and it's going to hold for good 12 classes. And these 12 classes will cover general introduction to computer, which is known as computer appreciation. And it's going to cover learning Microsoft Office application like Word, basic to advanced, PowerPoint, basic to advanced, Excel, basic and intermediate. And of course, how to explore the internet. So it's a session that if you have anyone that is looking for this kind of opportunity, you know what, and it's very cheap, just 15,000 to access all these 12 classes. Early bird, 10,000. Registration that Friday or after Friday is 15,000. That is, if anybody registered today or tomorrow, so long the person registered before the first class, it is 10,000. And you know what? That very first class is actually free for everyone to, to attend. It is after that first class that you can now think of whether you want to proceed. And for those that will pay before the first class, they are the one that will pay 10,000. So in case you have anyone that's interested, please reach out to me on WhatsApp 070, or you send my contact to them and ask them to take advantage of this opportunity. 07069665919. That is my WhatsApp number. Thank you very much. This is Digitech Zeal again. You are welcome.